Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Siena College Sports Desk. Still the #1 rated sports show by absolutely no one. I'm Chris Hicks.
And I'm Jake Salvi. Siena welcomed the Gales to Hickey Field this Saturday. A scoreless first half would be followed by a very busy second half. Iona opened the scoring with a set-piece goal in the 57th minute. Only a couple minutes later, Zach Gardner would level it at 1-1, with Junder Bruna extending his assist streak to 3 games in a row. Just 10 minutes later, Lee Mara with a go-ahead goal to give Siena the lead, which they would keep to win this game 2-1.
The women's soccer team also had 2 games this past week, 2 more wins to add to their record. Starting off on Wednesday, the Saints took on Manhattan at home. This is their 7th straight MAC conference game in a row, and a meaningful game for forward Megan Stoll, who was facing off against her twin sister who plays for the Jaspers. She put Siena on the board early, finding the back of the net in the 19th minute, and 2 more goals from Annie Bagnall and Maya Costa would allow the Saints to take a 3-0 win. This meant history for head coach Steve Karbowski, who now stands alone for most wins of all time in MAC women's soccer history. Congratulations, Coach. The Saints' next game of the week was on the road on Saturday against Ryder. Another great performance from Megan Stoll, who scored in the 27th minute to give the Saints another early lead, as well as tie her teammate Catherine Rogers for leading scorer in the MAC Conference. In the 56th minute, Kate Flanagan would put up an insurance goal for the Saints, who were able to coast their way to their 2nd straight win. Freshman keeper Kate Burns had a day in the net with 4 saves, locking in her 3rd shutout in 4 matches.
The cross-country team went to the IC4A ECAC Championships this past weekend. For the women's, Julie Caputo finished with a time of 21:12.4, placing 5th in the 6K. This time was only 7 seconds off her personal best at the Jasper Invite earlier this season. Claire Gardner finishing not too long after with a time of 21:49.4 to grab 29th place. The Siena women's team would go on to place 7th overall. And for the men's, sophomore Colin Brown ran in his first IC4A championship, and he ran an impressive 24:47.8 in the 8K, finishing 9th overall, with Killian McNamee clocking a time of 25:01.4, grabbing 22nd in the ranks. The Siena men would place 8th overall.
The men's golf team traveled to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania this past weekend to participate in the Lay Invitational. This 9-team tournament, which was their last of the fall season, the Saints started off hot, shooting 11 over par and sitting in first place at the end of day 1. Michael McConney shot even through 12 holes, which was good enough to finish day 1 tied for 3rd place individually. Nick Lyons also had a top 10 performance, shooting a tournament high of 5 birdies. On day 2 of the tournament, the Saints continued to dominate, with 3 players finishing in the top 10 individually, in first place as a team. Michael McConney finished his weekend shooting 2 over par through 36 holes. And Austin Giroux and Nick Lyons were Siena's other top 10 finishers, shooting 3 over and 5 over respectively. The Saints will use this dominant performance as momentum to train during the offseason and prepare for the upcoming spring season.
The women's golf team also had their fall finale over the weekend. They headed to Worcester, Massachusetts to play in the Crusader Invitational hosted by Holy Cross. The Saints finished round 1 of the tournament in first place thanks to performances by Jillian Berend and Mackenzie Whitney, who both shot 3 over par on the day and tied for first place individually. Moving on to the second day of the tournament, the Saints had a 4-stroke lead and shot a +30 for the second round, which allowed them to sneak by Merrimack, who shot +28 to win their first tournament since the 2014 Conference Championship. Mackenzie Whitney won the individual title after shooting +8. This tied the 8th lowest 36-hole round in program history. Jalen Barren tied for second individually after shooting +11 on day 2. The Saints will have a break until the spring 2025 season.
Siena women's volleyball played Merrimack at home on Saturday, a big game against another MAC opponent. The first set was a close contest with Siena bowing 23-25. However, the other 2 sets weren't as close, as Siena would get shut out at home. It wasn't all bad though, as Olga Stravinska had a day, setting her career high 16 kills, and Claire Isaacson had a team high of 18 assists. Moving to Sunday, Siena hosted second in the MAC, Quinnipiac, looking to bounce back after a tough loss. A competitive first set, seeing the teams go into extended play, with Siena losing the first set 29-27. In the second set, Quinnipiac took a 12-5 lead, and despite Siena fighting back some points, they would lose the second set by 6 points. The third set started strong, but Siena were up 14-8, but the Bobcats stormed back and took the final set 25-20. Siena faces undefeated top of the MAC Fairfield on October 26th.
Siena Swim and Dive traveled out to Buffalo on Saturday for a quad meet against Canisius, Rochester, and Bowling Green. Great performances against some tough opponents. Galen Curran continues her hot start to the season, finishing second in the 200 free with 156.97, and she also grabbed third in the 500 free in 5:17.34. Hope Ivanovic placed third in the 200 fly, clocking 2:12.40. Maya Amadeo placed 5th in the 50 free, just 0.3 seconds shy of a program top 10 time with 24.87. The Saints had 3 relay teams place top 5 in the 200 free relay. The team of Triller, Carter, Rentosa, and Rains finished second in a time of 1:39.42. The Saints taking wins over Canisius and Buffalo, but bowing out to Bowling Green. The Saints will travel to Durham to take on New Hampshire on November 2nd. I mean, an impressive performance from the swim team, and Megan stole a goal against her sister.
For sure. Some people are calling it the Stole Bowl. I like the ring to it. Nice sibling rivalry.
Yeah, she's gonna hold that over her head at dinner, I'm sure.
For sure. So that's all we have for you guys this week.
Make sure to check out the Siena Communications YouTube channel and subscribe while you're there.
Also, follow the SCTV Instagram page at sienacollege.tv.
Thank you all for joining us for this week's Siena Sports Update. We'll see y'all next week.